Hey guys, now before this video begins, I actually have a quick announcement. I am so close to 500 subscribers and I just wanted to say a humongous thank you to all of you. I would not be where I am without you. This would not have happened without you. I just love all of you guys so much. But in order to celebrate and give back to you, I am actually at some point in the future going to film a 500 subscriber Q&A video. If you want to participate, feel free to comment any kind of question down below. It doesn't have to be about reading. It can be about my own life, my hobbies, different things like that. And I will try my absolute hardest to answer all of your questions and get through all of them. Now, depending on the amount of comments, I really don't know if I'll be able to, but we'll see. Now back to the video. Hey guys, my name is Miranda and welcome to my universe. I'm super excited because I'm going to be talking about a book that I recently finished that I absolutely love, and it is called The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. This book is a fairy tale retelling of, if you couldn't already guess, Little Red Riding Hood, but it has a post-apocalyptic horror twist to it. This review will be spoiler-free, so you do not have to worry about me spoiling anything, whether you have read it or have not read it. All right, so first things first, what is this book about? The Girl in Red follows around our main character, named Red. Red is living in a world that has been completely eradicated by this airborne virus. Millions upon millions of people have been wiped out by this virus, and the government actually calls for a quarantine. I'm sorry, does this sound familiar? This quarantine is a little bit different because their government calls for everybody to be put in specific buildings that are designed for the quarantine. So basically the military is roaming the streets, collecting citizens, trying to actually get them forcibly into these buildings to be quarantined for who knows how long. But Red's family actually refuses to go into quarantine, so instead they kind of go into hiding in their home, and they're planning a trip to go to Red's grandma's house, who is hundreds of miles away in the middle of a forest. So the story actually goes between two different points in time. The first point in time being right before her family leaves, and the second point of time is when she is traveling by herself in the woods. So you follow these two plot points, just waiting for them to merge. You're kind of waiting to figure out what the heck happened to the rest of her family and why she's traveling alone now. Wow, okay, this book is just, it's so good. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. There were some minor issues I had with the ending, but I will explain that later. One of my favorite things about this book was our main character, Red. She is such a hardcore character, but she is almost the underdog at the same time. Her mother is actually black and her father is white, so her family actually gets a lot of hatred from everybody else. There is a lot of hate crime in this book. There's actually a lot of violence in general, but there are good chunks of the violence that are directed towards Red's race. On top of this, Red also has a prosthetic leg because she lost her leg when she was younger. And let me just talk about this for a second. My mom has a prosthetic leg, okay? So I know almost on a personal level how prosthetic legs affect daily life, and I thought that that was so cool to see a book that has so much representation. Not only is our main character of a mixed race, but she is also disabled, and I thought that was super cool to see in a post-apocalyptic book where she's trying to survive. This book just gets me so excited because I just loved that. I loved the diversity in here. She is actually also bisexual. They don't really talk about that too much because there's like zero romance in here, but oh my gosh, like she's just so diverse and so unique. She is not your average cookie cutter young adult post-apocalyptic hero. Like, she is not like that at all. In fact, she is super cutthroat, very violent. She uses her weaknesses to her advantage. She doesn't let anybody take advantage of her just because she's a woman and just because she has a prosthetic leg and just because people hate her for her skin. She's not gonna let that define her. And I just really like Red. This book is just filled with so many things that break cliches, and I thought that was so awesome. I think this book is just so unique, and I needed it. I really did. Also, the whole plot line with the virus and quarantine and everything, it was just perfect for this time. I just think I read this book at such a great time. Now, I do want to talk about the ending because I could see a lot of people who would try to read this book get mad at the ending, because I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just going to be very vague. But the ending of this book leaves a lot of things unanswered. If a book ends and a ton of my questions are unanswered and I'm thinking, okay, there's no reason for these questions to be unanswered, why didn't you just answer them? It is illogical for you to not answer them. I feel like there's something missing. That's when it's an issue. But with this book, the questions that are unanswered for a reason, and there is purpose behind it, even though it might be heart-wrenching that I don't know what happened to some of these characters or I didn't understand some of the concepts. It was for a reason. I'm actually going to read a quote at the end of this book that I think explains it perfectly. She didn't know everything, and she didn't need to know everything. You're the one who always said you weren't the chosen one. Only chosen ones worry about that stuff. The rest of us just want to live. Through that, Christina Henry is acknowledging that she is not going to answer all of our questions. She knows that her audience has tons of things going on in our minds, and we want to know why this, why that. But she takes that, acknowledges it, and then it's almost like she has her character accept it so that we don't necessarily have to. I think a lot of authors are under so much pressure to tie everything up and to make sure everything is understood. And Christina Henry, once again, broke that cycle, and she kind of was like, in reality, in life, we don't know the answers to everything. So you don't need to know the answers to everything in this book either. Take that as you will. But I really liked it, and I loved this book. I fell in love with the writing. I fell in love with the characters. I think this concept is so realistic. Hello. There are hints of sci-fi in it as well, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's another spoiler. But I think it was a fantastic blend of apocalypse and the hero character and the underdog character in one, and fairy tales and sci-fi and horror. It was so wonderfully made. I definitely highly recommend it to any of you who want to read it. All right, and with all of that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have read this book, if you're planning on reading this book, if you're kind of on the fence about this book, comment down below. Let's talk about it. I love you guys so much. Please be safe, make good choices, and I will definitely see you next time. Bye!